Welcome to Love by Design, the podcast for high achieving women who are ready to stop performing for love and start building it from truth, from alignment. Welcome back to Love by Design. My name is Joan. So let me start by asking you something. When you're choosing a partner, which part of you is actually doing the choosing? Is it your soul, which is the part of you that's already whole, the part that knows your worth, that's designed for evolution and expansion? Or is it your ego, which is the part of you that's trying to feel complete, to feel validated, to feel secure, to feel worthy and chosen? Because the truth is, most people think that they're choosing from their soul. But when you really look at what is going on, they're choosing from their ego. And this might be you too. Understanding the difference between the two changes everything because ego love and soul love want completely different things. And I was talking about this yesterday on my Instagram Live. If you've never joined, I'm live on Instagram every Wednesday, 8 p.m. EST. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between the ego love and the soul love. So the ego love wants completion, whereas the soul love wants expansion. Ego love wants proof. Show me, tell me that you love me. But the soul just wants truth. Ego love wants to be saved, and soul love wants to evolve. And until you know the difference between these two, you'll keep choosing relationships that feel urgent. It has to happen now. And then you get it and you feel empty. So let's dive in a little bit more. Start off with what the ego love is and what it wants. So ego love is primarily driven by lack. It's the part of you that believes that I'm not enough on my own. I just need someone to complete me. And here's what that ego love is actually looking for in a relationship: completion. So the person feels this imaginary hole that I can't fill myself. This person makes me feel whole. Without this person, I am incomplete. That's all ego, nothing to do with soul. And then we speak about validation. So the love needs to make me feel like I'm worthy, to make me feel like I'm special, that I'm chosen, that I must matter because someone wants to be with me. The ego love needs external proof of your worth because it doesn't trust that inherently you are valuable, you are whole, and you are loved. Ego love wants security, right? They want to know that you're not going to leave me, that you'll stay even when it's hard, that you're my safety net. The ego wants guarantees, it wants permanence, it wants control over the outcomes. It wants to know that in 2 years we're going to be this, in 2 months we're going to be this. It wants all of that guarantee, which isn't true love. And then the ego also wants this relief from loneliness. Like loneliness is one of the biggest epidemics that humanity is facing right now. So the ego wants the emptiness to go away. The ego doesn't want to feel like they're all by themselves, that they're doing life alone. And so the partner or this person that they're trying to be in a relationship with becomes the solution to their loneliness. So the ego sees partnerships as this rescue from solitude, from aloneness, from dying alone. The ego also wants identity. So being in a relationship looks like, oh, if I'm with you, then you make me someone because now I'm with someone, right? Being with you gives me status. It gives me meaning. It gives me a role. The world can now see that I'm lovable. It makes you feel like you know who you are when you're with this person. And when you're not with the person, who are you? You feel like you don't have an identity. So the ego keeps using relationships to construct this identity instead of discovering it within. Everything you need is inside of you. And here's the thing about the ego love. None of this is really, really bad. Ego is not the enemy. We're not trying to kill the ego here. But the truth is, the ego is just the wounded part of you that's trying to survive. The part of you that's trying to feel safe. that wants to feel like they matter. But ego cannot build soul level partnership because ego love is transactional. I give you this, you give me that. So if you love me the right way, I'll finally feel whole. If you stay, I'll finally feel worthy. If you choose me, I'll finally feel enough. That's all transaction, nothing to do with transformation. And ego love will always feel like it's in a rush. It would always feel urgent. It will always feel like, I need this person. I can't live without this person. This is the one. But urgency is not soul recognition. Urgency is ego panic. So let's flip the script a little bit and talk about what soul love is and what the soul actually wants in love. Soul love is driven by wholeness. So it's the part of you that already knows that I am complete and I am choosing to share my completeness with another complete whole being. And here's what the soul is looking for in a relationship. Number one, evolution. So the soul says, this relationship invites me to become more of who I'm designed to be. This relationship is where I'm growing, not shrinking. In this relationship, we're expanding together. The soul doesn't want to say the same. The soul always wants to evolve. Two, the soul is looking for truth. So this is a relationship where I can fully be myself. I don't have to perform. I don't have to pretend. I can just be me. In this relationship, we can speak what's real, even when it's uncomfortable. The soul craves honesty. It doesn't like performance at all. The next thing is expansion. A relationship is meant to challenge you, it's meant to stretch you, not in a bad way, but stretch you to be more of who you are. So in this relationship, you're being called into more courage, into more depth of who you are, into more presence. This love doesn't make me feel small. It's not shrinking me. It is making me more of me. The soul doesn't want comfort. It wants growth. It wants the expansion of growth. Being witnessed. This is one of the profound things I heard a teacher say a few years ago. The soul wants to be witnessed. So amazing. I thought about it and I thought, well, that sounds about right. We all want our lives to be witnessed. So the soul wants a relationship where you can say, you see me, not the version I perform, not the social media or dating app version, but the actual me. I can be me fully. I'm known here and still chosen. The soul wants to be seen, not just admired, wants to be seen fully. Another thing that the soul wants is co creation. So this can look like we're building something together that neither of us could build alone. That is a deep soul relationship. So this relationship has a purpose beyond just you and I. It's not just about us, it is beyond us. There's a third entity in this relationship, and that's the relationship itself. And it's a living, breathing entity. So the soul sees partnerships as sacred collaboration, not just companionship, someone to keep you busy, somebody to go on trips with you. No, it wants to collaborate to build something bigger. And here's what's important and the big differentiator between the soul and the ego. The soul doesn't feel urgent, it feels clear. It feels like a very calm, settled feeling of clarity. When you try to put it into words, it sounds like this is aligned, not I can't live without this. It's more of I'm choosing this from my wholeness, not from my wounds. Soul love often feels uncomfortable because we're not used to it. It's not familiar. And because it requires you to stop performing, to stop seeking validation, to stop trying to be chosen, me, to stop hiding from your truth just to keep the peace. Soul love asks you to be seen, to be fully seen. And being seen is quite terrifying, especially for the ego, because we've been raised to comport ourselves in public, to only share the part of us that people will accept. but that's not what the soul is looking for. The soul wants you to be fully seen for who you are. Because again, we worry about what if they see the full me and they don't stay? Well, great. That is the risk of soul love. And that's why most people would rather just default to ego love, where you can just pretend because it feels familiar, it feels safer, even though in the long run, it is not. So let's talk a little bit about the urgency versus recognition, right? Because people usually get confused about the two. They feel this urgency when they meet someone and they think it's so recognition. So it might sound like, oh, I've never felt this way before. Or, oh my, this is so different. Or, oh, I just know, I just know. But urgency is not the same as knowing. Urgency is the ego's panic saying, get this person now, lock them down, tie them down, secure them, don't let them go. Soul recognition feels a little bit different. It's more quiet, it's calm. If I was to put it into words, it will say something like, yes, this is aligned. I see you. You see me. Let's explore this together, right? It's not, oh, I need you or I'll die. Ego love says, don't leave me. Soul love says, I choose you and I choose me. Ego love is constantly trying to cling. Soul love commits. There's a huge difference. Clinging is fear-based. If you leave me, I'll fall apart. Commitment is choice-based. It is, I'm choosing this from my wholeness, not from my wound. Most people are in their ego love, and they're calling it soul love. Ego love has learned the spiritual language in today's world. Ego love is all about, oh, this is my twin flame. This is a soul contract. We're meant to be. But if the relationship is making you feel smaller, making you shrink, making you anxious, making you more performative because you're trying to keep it locked down, well, that's not soul love. That's ego love who has now learned the spiritual vocabulary. So now, how do you tell the difference? How do you know which one is driving? Well, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Am I choosing this person to feel complete? Or am I choosing them to expand who I already am? If the answer is to feel complete, well, that's ego. If the answer is to expand, then that is soul. Another good question is, am I performing to be chosen or am I being fully myself? Fully transparent, naked, not physically, but naked, open with this person. If you're still performing, that's ego love. But if you're being yourself fully, that's soul love. Another question is, does this relationship make me feel smaller or larger? If it's smaller, that's ego. And this might take time for you to find this one out. But if it makes you feel larger and more expansive, then that is soul love. Another question, am I afraid that they'll leave if I tell them the truth? And you have to dig deep and really be honest about this one. If the answer is yes, then that is ego love because it's fear driven. But if it's a no, well, I'm happy to tell the truth, then that is soul love because it's based on truth. Do I need this person or am I choosing them? If it's need, ego. If it's choice, soul. And the final one, is this relationship transactional or is it transformational? Transactional sounds like if you love me right, then I'll feel worthy. Transformational looks like this relationship reveals what still needs healing in me because relationships are mirror. They are here to show you the unconscious patterns and parts of you that still need to be healed. So if it's transactional, it's all ego. If it's transformational, then that is soul. And here's what's very important to understand. You can feel both in the same relationship. The ego will show up. Sometimes the soul will still show up because that's what it means to be human. But the truer question is, which one has the power? Which one is driving all of your choices? Are you choosing this person from your wounds or are you choosing from your wholeness? That's the question that really, really matters. So let's talk about the way forward. And this is where your love gates really matter because your love gates show you where ego might still be running the show. In human design, your open centers are where you're taking other people's energies, where you're still seeking completion from them. So this is where the ego says, they have what I don't have, so I need them to feel whole. That is all about the ego. That is not soul love. The ego is constantly seeking this completion through another person. You need to understand what your love gates are so that you know what is operating the whole show. The goal is to operate from your soul. So the big shift that I want you to hear today is stop asking, does this person complete me? And start asking, does this relationship expand me into more of who I actually am? But to be able to answer that, you have to know who you actually are. Take off the masks and start being yourself fully. Stop asking, do they make me feel worthy? And start asking, can I fully be myself here and still be chosen? Stop asking, will they stay? And start asking, is this aligned with my soul's path and journey? Stop asking, does this person make me feel good? And start asking from your soul, does this relationship invite me into the deeper truth of who I am? And truth doesn't always feel good. Sometimes truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes, or many times, truth will actually ask you to grow. Sometimes truth will reveal what you've been avoiding, what you've been hiding. But truth is what builds soul-level partnerships. Not the ego's need for validation, not the ego's need for security, not the ego's need to feel complete. Truth is what the soul is seeking. So the next time you're drawn to someone, I want you to pause and ask, which part of me is choosing this? Is it my ego trying to feel complete, validated, and secure? Or is it my soul ready to expand, evolve, and be seen in my fullness? Because ego love will always leave you empty. It might be fun in the beginning. You might have all the sparks and the butterflies going, but over time, it will leave you empty, no matter how perfect the person is. Because the ego is there trying to fill a void that only you can fill. Soul love, on the other hand, invites you into your wholeness, not because the other person completes you, but because the relationship expands you into more of who you already are. Go ahead and download your Love Gates report today so that you can start living and loving by design and not by default, which is just the ego. Thank you for joining me this week. I will see you same time next week. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. And if it stirred something in you, trust that. Alignment isn't a concept, it is a calling. And if you're feeling the nudge to take this work deeper, then I want you to go ahead and book your Aligned Love Assessment, where we map your patterns, reveal what's keeping you stuck, and explore your journey to aligned love. You can book your session at joannwosu.com. Until next time, remember, you're not here to earn love, you're here to embody it. So keep dating by design, not by default. See you next week.